Much for joining us on the news on 90 International. We're live in Abuja. I'm Ruth Aguele. Let's bring you the headlines. Nigerian ministers give scorecards as President Buhari presides over virtual Federal Executive Council meeting. Vice President Professor Oshibajo inaugurates 200,000 capacity yam storage facility in Benue State. House of Representatives passes amended 2020 budget. And NAPTI proposes special courts for trial of rapists and child traffickers. The 14th meeting of the Federal Executive Council for the year 2020 has ended at the State House in Abuja. President Muhammadu Buhari presided over the meeting, which was held virtually due to the coronavirus pandemic. He was joined by Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Chief of Staff to the President, and few ministers. Other members of the highest policy decision-making body of the government participated online from their offices. During the meeting, several memoranda were considered in furtherance of the next level agenda. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that some ministers gave account of their stewardship to the council. And to the legislature, President Muhammadu Buhari has felicitated with the leadership and members of the 9th National Assembly on their first anniversary, extolling their sense of duty and diligence in handling issues related to the development of the country. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, President Buhari salutes the vision, courage and patriotism of the Assembly, noting with appreciation the understanding and maturity of the lawmakers in speedily processing bills that directly impact the welfare of Nigerians, courageously finding common grounds to move the country forward, and passionately carrying out their oversight functions with justice and fairness. President Buhari presents his goodwill message to the Senate, President Ahmed Lawan, and Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, congratulating them for using their wealth of experience, wisdom and knowledge to ensure a peaceful working relationship among lawmakers between both chambers, the judiciary and the executive, by always focusing on the larger picture of nation building. As the 9th National Assembly commemorates the landmark, President Buhari believes the legislature has brought dignity and honor to the country and looks forward to more years of harmonious working relationship with focus on improving the livelihood of citizens and creating an enabling environment for a prosperous nation where both the young and old can fully realize their dreams. Still on the legislature, the Senate is considering a bill that seeks to repeal the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Act of 2010 and to enact the Nigerian Local Content Development and Enforcement Commission. The bill, which has passed second reading, seeks, among other issues, to have a single commission that will supervise the enforcement of local content in all sectors of the Nigerian economy under a unified law. The bill also strives to ensure that Nigeria looks inward in its economic development and to check the abuse of work permit and expatriate quota. Senate has confirmed the nomination of 6 persons as members of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. They are Salamatu Bala, Alfred Egba, Adamu Yuguda Dibal, Oladele Boyega, Bello Wamako, and Ahmed Yusuf, while Emmanuel Nwosu was not confirmed as a result of security reports against him from the Department of Security Service. It also confirmed Lamido Yuguda as Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission and Reginald Karawusa, Ibrahim Boyi, and Obisan Joseph as full-time commissioners. The House of Representatives has passed the amended 2020 appropriation bill of 10.801 trillion naira. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the amount is 300 billion naira more than the amount submitted by the executive.
When the revised 2020 appropriation bill was laid before plenary for amendments about 2 weeks ago, the lawmakers were in agreement with the executive that considering the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, which led to a drop in the price of crude oil at the international market and the daily production output, there is the need for a downward review of the budget. Today, the appropriation bill has been passed, but 300 billion naira more than what the executive submitted.
The components of the health sector is in the MTEF, so we decided to pull it out from the MTEF to the budget so that every Nigerian will see why the amendment is done. If you leave it under the MTEF, nobody will know it. MTEF is just a document, but budget is a book that anybody can go in and see everything inside.
A breakdown of the amended bill shows that 4.9 trillion naira is for recurrent expenditure, 2.9 trillion is allocated to debt servicing, 2.4 trillion naira goes to contribution to development fund for capital expenditure, while 4.22 billion naira is for statutory transfers.
10,801,544,664,642 naira only.
During the consideration for passage, House Speaker noted the need to take care of demands of resident doctors, and 400 billion naira was therefore moved from service-wide votes to the budget for Ministry of Health. The expiry date of the amended bill is 31st of December 2020. The Appropriations, Finance and all committees that contributed to the speedy passage of the amended bill were commended.
I want to thank all members for your unwavering support, members across party lines, across all ethnic groups. I am deeply gratified for the kind of support, unprecedented support you have given me.
Also approved by House members during plenary is the $5.5 billion loan request from the President to fund the budget, priority projects of the federal government, and projects in support of state governments. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
In another development, following the reprisal attack by insurgents in villages of Gubio local government area of Borno State, which left several people dead, the House of Representatives has called for intensified patrol in affected areas. The House, while debating the issue as a matter of urgent public importance, moved by Representative Usman Zenna, also called for constitutional amendment to enable law-abiding Nigerians bear arms to defend themselves against attacks. The lawmakers urged Northeast Development Commission to assist victims in the affected villages covering Gubio, Magumeri and Ngazai. Wednesday's plenary also adopted a motion from Representative Garba Detti calling for a review of Nigerians' foreign policy in view of the increase in reported cases of racial discrimination against black people. Let's talk agric. A 200,000 capacity yam storage facility has been inaugurated by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, at Zaki Biam Yam Market in Ukum local government area of Benue State. The Vice President, who lauded Governor Samuel Otom for providing the enabling environment, says the project is a deliberate effort of the federal government to boost micro, small and medium enterprises. Let's hear from Charles Abba.
Ukum local government is one of the largest producers of yam in Benue State, with the yam market located at Zakibiam, its headquarters, which is over 30 years now.
Zakibiam produce yam, no road to enter. Mrs. Eli Izeko is one of the buyers of yam. What's your experience here?
The paper that we are cutting here is too much. We are pleading to the government to help us. And this road to Oturukpo is very bad. If all our goods on the road.
So when you brought yam and you didn't say, you will just leave it openly like this. Anything can happen. Even goats, even animals can come and chop. But now we have stores that we can store our yams. So we are very happy.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who lamented the deplorable facilities of the Zakibiam Yam Market before the reconstruction, acknowledged its potentials if given a boost. He said the provision of 200,000 capacity yam storage facility, reconstruction of 660 yam stores, and other interventions are deliberate efforts of the federal government to drive its economic diversification program, ensure food security, and provide jobs for the teeming youths by boosting micro, small, and medium enterprises.
The Nigerian national yam market is probably the biggest yam market for us because Nigeria is, of course, the largest producer of yams. It accounts for sales of possibly 70% yams that are cultivated in the country.
Governor Samuel Otom, who commended President Muhammadu Buhari for the reconstruction of the Zakibiam yam market, explained that the project has direct impact on millions of households and capable of preventing post-harvest losses. He, however, called for the review of the Economic Community of West African States ECOWAS free entry protocol for member states in order to end the influx of foreign herders into Nigeria, especially Benue State, where farmers are being displaced because of their attacks.
Even as we congratulate you and His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, for the giant stride taken by the federal government in repositioning our economy, we are worried about the resurgence of armed herdsmen attacks on Benue people, especially in the rural areas.
He expressed optimism that if this is done, Benue alone can provide a food security to the entire country. From Zakibiam, Charles Abba, NTA News.
Let's look at other issues. NAPTIP has made a proposal for a special court to try rapists and child traffickers in the country. Part of the suggestions is that henceforth, anyone who justifies rape in Nigeria will be arrested as a suspect. Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Julie Okadonli, said this while reacting to increasing incidents of rape cases in the country in recent time. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday reports.
Nigeria has been witnessing growing incidents of rape in most parts of the country. Some go unreported due to trust gap, stigma, intimidation, cultural barrier, and religious sentiment, and even inability of victims to seek justice. This meeting, organized by NAPTIP and relevant agencies, is in response to the growing rates of sexual violence against girls and women in Nigeria. Presently, only about 5 states in Nigeria have laws against sexual and gender-based violence.
This is a clarion call for states to domesticate the Violence Against Persons Act in their states. State governors and assemblies that are delaying in domesticating this act are inadvertently promoting sexual and gender-based violence in their domain. NAPTIP has developed a template of procedural response for victims. Do not take a bath. Do not change your clothes. If the rapist used the condom, collect it for evidence. Please do not destroy. Go to the hospital immediately and ask for a doctor's report.
You talked about dressing. For God's sake, this lady was raped when she was wearing hijab. What else do we want them to wear? You know, it doesn't make sense. We said because they go to places they are not supposed to go. This lady was raped in a church. Where do you want them to go? Children are raped in schools. Where do we want them to go?
The need for parents to actively check the engagements of their children, break the culture of silence, and stop victims from shame are some of the positions taken by the agency. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
And to speak further on that, we have in the studio Director Public Enlightenment, Department of NAPTIP, Mr. Arinze Orakwe, to discuss issues of rape and child trafficking in Nigeria. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Orakwe.
Thank you so much.
All right, of late, I'm sure you're aware the country has been witnessing high incidents of rape, not just against adults, but also toddlers are involved. What could be responsible for this?
The fact is that now, there had been a high consumption of materials on the social media. Parents buy their children Android phones and are not there to make sure that they know what they watch and what they access. And there's a high consumption of pornographic materials, which makes people get entitled. That is one. Two, because of this consideration that rape is some of them say is something in the family, because no, it's not entirely most times strangers that do these things. You know, cousins, uncles, do rape people, rape children. I don't know whether you know that the last that was reported, within this lockdown, that there was a report stating that 80% of the rapes that happened in Anambra State were rapes, between father and daughter. So these are the things we've noticed. We have people who abuse children, abusers are there, rapists are there, but because for some time now, the perception is that, the stigmatization has made people not come out.
Yes,
criminals assume that they can go and have a free day, but we are breaking that bond of silence, and we're asking people that culture must be broken, and we must talk about it.
All right, and aside speaking out, we know that in Nigeria, only few states have domesticated the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. Now, would you say it's a good signal if we're talking about ending rape cases in Nigeria?
That is not enough. Part of the reasons why the Director General, Dame Julia Okadonli, is asking states to please, as quickly as possible, to adopt and domesticate the Violence Against Persons Act. That law is complete in itself, and not just to domesticate it, also to set up structures. That is why we said that Lagos and the Ekiti are top of the class amongst those states that have done that. It is not just to pay lip service and set up laws like that, and without anything being done. There's a lot of sensitization that it needs. There's a lot of enablers, structures that need to be placed on ground to support the protection of the girl child. And we need to carry that sensitization. Even the media has a responsibility to begin to carry this this campaign that rape is a crime. We will not support it. Enablers are not allowed to come in and begin to take rape as if it's every other crime.
Yes,
a rapist destroys children, and that should not be allowed.
Psychologically, Mr. Orakwe, it's not really something we want to talk about today, but NATIP, we hear, is proposing a special court to try rapists and child traffickers in the country, as well as arrest as suspect anybody who justifies rape in the country. How far do you think this can go in ending this?
That was the last conviction we got was a life imprisonment. And yes, I understand that the will of justice takes time. It's slow, but it surely will come. I don't think there's any court that anybody will arraign anybody for rape, and that person, that will not run as it is supposed to. The Director General, Dame Julia Okadonli, said she endorses a quick dispensation and a special court, but that does not in any way discountenance the fact that the courts have not done well. What part of the reasons why we brought out that template and we're asking people, do not take your bath, do not take away the clothes, go straight to the hospital, get a medical report. If the rapists use wipes and condoms, please pick up those materials. We know how disgusting it is for victims. The parents must learn to make their children or their wards who are raped and not sweep it under the carpet. It's not a family thing. Rape is a crime. They are abusers. They take away the pride and sanctity and chastity of victims, and they should not be swept under the carpet. Thank
you very much, Mr. Arinze Orakwe. I couldn't agree with you less. Thank you. It's a collective responsibility if we must put a stop to this menace. Let's go on a break.
The truth of the matter is that you do not have two sunrises in one day, even in Africa.
But the good thing is for us to forgive and forget.
History will take care of everything.
My name is Baba Kingibe.
On behalf of the federal government, I tender the nation's apology to the family of late MKO Abiola.
Thanks for staying tuned. Nigeria has recorded its highest COVID-19 cases since the outbreak of the virus in the country, as the World Health Organization recommends imposition of intermittent lockdowns in Pakistan. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday is here with the global update.
The Brazilian government has restored coronavirus figures on its official website following a Supreme Court ruling that full details of coronavirus pandemic be reinstated. Last week, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro announced the removal of coronavirus data from public view and stopped the publishing of cumulative death toll or infections. And the World Health Organization has recommended to Pakistani authorities to reimpose an intermittent lockdowns of targeted areas to further curb the spread of coronavirus. The organization said Pakistan did not meet any of its 6 conditions for lifting restrictions. A surge of new cases of the virus has hit the South Asian nation after the government lifted its lockdown, citing economic pressure. On the WHO coronavirus disease dashboard at about 7 p.m. Nigerian time, 7,379,717 persons have tested positive for COVID-19 globally. 415,460 deaths recorded, while 3,639,238 people have recovered. The Africa Center for Disease Control says the 54-nation continent has recorded 203,899 cases, while there are 5,530 fatalities and 91,398 recoveries. For the first time since the outbreak of COVID-19 in Nigeria, the country's Center for Disease Control has reported its highest number of infections of 663, taking the total number of cases to 13,464, 365 deaths, and 4,206 recoveries. I am Adebola Brookslyn Sunday. Thanks for your time.
The National Emergency Management Agency says proactive response to any form of disaster will be top priority of the agency in order to give victims a sense of belonging. Northwest Zonal Coordinator of the agency, Abani Umam Gariki, stated this at the presentation of relief materials to the Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency for onward distribution to victims. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu completes the report.
More than 440 households of the affected communities of Gona Rogo and Makeli villages in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State are to benefit from the NEMA relief items. Victims of the attack are full of praises to the federal government for coming to their aid. The zonal coordinator said the federal government is concerned about the plight of the victims, hence the immediate response.
Actually, we're here to condole and sympathize with the people of Kajuru local government and the entire communities and people of Kaduna State over the unfortunate incidences that happened.
Executive Secretary, Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, Maimunatu Abubakar, thanked the federal government for the gesture and promised equal and judicial distribution of the relief items.
We need for them to embrace peace, because peace is the only key to our problem.
I would like to call on everybody. This is a time to unite. This is a time to come together. We need to join hands and then defeat criminality in our communities.
Non-government were said to have attacked communities of Gona Rogo and Makeli villages of Kaduna State about 3 weeks ago. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
Let's look at felicitation. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates former Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Chief Arthur Mbanefo, on his 90th birthday, June 11, 2020, joining family members and friends to celebrate the milestone. A release by Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says the President believes the nonagerians' leadership roles in the private and public sectors have been most remarkable and impactful, attracting many recognitions and awards, both within and outside the country, and steadily inspiring confidence in the economy. As an advisor to many governments, President Buhari affirms that Chief Mbanefo, who served in boardrooms, committees, and investigative panels, left an indelible imprint on some of the notable decisions that shaped Nigeria, which include creating strong institutions for good and corporate governance. As Pro-Chancellor Rector and Chairman of Council of Ahmadu Bello University, Obafemi Awolowo University, and the University of Lagos at different times. The President salutes the diplomats' investment of time and resources in the education system in Nigeria, particularly his advocacy for skills development and entrepreneurship. President Buhari felicitates with professional colleagues and associates of Chief Mbanefo, praying that the Almighty God will continue to strengthen and grant him good health. On the foreign scene, Burundi has begun an official period of mourning for President Pierre Nkurunziza on Wednesday, a day after the announcement of his death from a heart attack. The president's death at the age of 55 shocked the East African nation he had ruled with iron grip. Wearing face masks and gloves to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, senior government officials, foreign ambassadors and religious leaders lined up to sign a condolence register opened in his memory at the presidential palace. We're done with the news. Thanks for your time. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.